If you've been a K-pop stan for the past 4 years, you may be familiar with the K-pop group known as Tomorrow by Together, or TXT for short. Debuting in 2019 with their first mini-album The Dream Chapter Star, TXT garnered massive attention both from being the first group debuting after BTS in Big Hit, and also because their discography slapped. Diverting from the usual dark and edgy sound of most boy groups during the time, TXT's album was fresh and youthful, something pop stans either loved or hated. It also had this. However, after their debut was released, there was radio silence on TXT's end. On account of ill health of the members, TXT's second mini-album was not released until the 21st of October of the same year. The Dream Chapter Magic, as presumed by its name, wasn't too different conceptually from the first, but focused more on magic and adolescence. The lyrics of TXT's 20 cm go as follows. My height has grown so much my voice is very low. I'm awkward from head to toe. I'm as awkward as my height. These lyrics clearly express the discomfort and embarrassment an adolescent faces during puberty as they familiarize themselves with their changing body and emotions. I'm likely going to make individual videos on the meaning behind each album in TXT's discography, so if you're interested then you can look forward to that. The first 2 mini-albums of TXT were greatly loved by the public for their youthful concept. Then came the Dream Chapter Eternity. Sigh.
Can't you see me? My body cause they try to say believe me. Please don't understand me anymore. Can't you please don't understand me anymore?
Don't get me wrong, this album has absolutely banger music and drama is the reason I became a Moa. The issue doesn't stem from the songs themselves but instead from the concept. Can't You See Me, as well as most songs on the album, had a much darker concept than the rest of their discography. This was almost the exact thing that people didn't want, as TXT were loved for doing what most boy groups didn't do. At the time of its release, I saw many people saying that Big Hit had completely ruined TXT. I remember speaking about this to my friend in 2020 and we both thought that TXT had changed their concept too abruptly. In fact, the first time I heard Puma was in the car during a 20-hour road trip and the engine caught fire. What I realized only after becoming a Moa was that everyone, including myself, was wrong. Here's the thing. TXT never changed their concept. This probably sounds completely outlandish, right? How could TXT have not changed their concept? What people constantly mistaken is what TXT's concept is. TXT never had a cute concept or an edgy one or emo or anything like that. The actual concept of the group is youth. During an interview and pictorial for Japanese magazine Spur, Yeonjun spoke on the Chaos chapter and Minisode. Quote, because we're honestly writing our own stories, I think the songs naturally end up being relatable for many people our age. The entire message of the group's music revolves around telling stories of today's youth and is thus explored through various concepts. As previously mentioned, the Dream Chapter Star talks about childhood and finding someone who shares your pain. Runaway and the rest of the album similarly discuss puberty and wanting to run away from your problems with said person. Eternity, on the other hand, brilliantly shows the transition of a child into adulthood, where they realize the burden of responsibility as well as their shifting dynamics with their loved ones. It expresses the pain of loss, drifting away and uncertainty through lyrics such as in the flames you turn your back. Can't you hear my voice looking for you? I am left alone again, friends don't understand me anymore. The lyrics of Can't You See Me actually hold a lot of value to TXT's lore, so once again, if you're interested, I will be making a video on that. With the release of Minisode 1 Blue Hour, TXT returned with a bright and youthful concept once again. Was this the end of TXT's dark era? Despite being vastly different in concept, the first track on the album, Ghosting, follows the same message of abandonment in the previous album. Only in Blue Hour, the boys are able to trap their loved one in a blissful utopia, which is likely Magic Island, which is a prominent part of their lore. The lyrics in Blue Hour follow: I want to be trapped in magic. My time machine. The setting sun. Actually, I know it will end. The entire song is about rewinding time and trapping yourself in a moment of bliss where you no longer have the burden of life and adulthood on your shoulders. But like in reality, that perfect moment at 5:53 can't last forever. You can never entirely have something your way no matter how much you want it. And thus the Chaos Chapter albums were born.
난 먼저도 성이 오직 나를 구해줘 손을 잡아줘 I know I love you.
I'll be covering both together as Fight and Escape only has 2 songs, one of them being a fandom one, but anyway. Freeze is all about being a hopeless romantic, craving love in 0x1 or repulsing it in anti-romantic. What if I had been that Puma has a similar theme as Puma and ponders upon what it would be like to be the escaped Puma who is lonely yet liberated. It goes, I hate unfamiliar places, never ever, ever. What should I choose? What's good for me? The unfamiliar place discussed could be adulthood, which I'm sure is an alienating experience, as is any other major change in lifestyle. Loser Lover shows this similar desperation. I'm tired of fighting, bleeding, losing that I couldn't win. If I can't have it, I freaking keep it low, crying, 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 frick it now. Love you, love you, love you no matter what I do. There's a couple of lyrics in this song that have major lore implications, but I won't be focusing on them in this video as I just want to discuss TXT's message.
Good boy gone bad.
Good boy gone bad. 날 사랑했던 good boy gone bad. Good boy gone back, good boy gone back. 난 날 죽여놔.
In May of 2022, TXT's most emo album Minnesota 2 Thursday's Child was released. Unsurprisingly, the reaction to this album was similar to Eternity. I saw multiple people complaining that they liked TXT's fresher concepts more, and there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever type of music you like is perfectly fine and no one should come for it. My only issue again is what people mistake as TXT's concept. Minnesota 2 is all about heartbreak and betrayal, that bitter sensation of losing what you once lost. In fact, each song on this album is said to represent the 5 stages of grief in order of the tracks. Despite others finding their concept changes odd, if you actually look in depth behind the meanings of the songs, you'll see that they aren't strange at all and actually are quite meaningful. This brings me to the last Korean album to date, the name Chapter Temptation.
The devil said.
어떤 널 잡자 나 봐는 lion 내게 넌 뭐란 거야 sugar.
This album is definitely the most confusing one to look into in relation to the rest, and is actually quite difficult to explain to those who aren't familiar with TXT lore. However, the basic message of this album is about being tempted by enjoyment to stray away from work. It's about that devil that leads you to do evil, except the evil is no crime but burnout. This album actually spoke to me a lot, as it was released at a time when I was extremely burnt out and felt no motivation, to the point that my days would be spent doing nothing at all besides pondering upon everything wrong in my life. Even if it was for a day, this album took me out of that spiral I'd been stuck in for months and gave me some inspiration for my book. So thank you TXT. The lyrics of Happy Fool show this in the best way. I have a lot to do, but I have no intention of doing it. I'm a fool. I'm not afraid even if I'm delayed. It's a happy everyday. I'm stuck in a sweet moment. Leave it to the me of tomorrow. I am like a bee who only works as a butterfly. What does the sky at sunset know? How beautiful it is. Whether you've been noticed or not, a lot of these lyrics connect to Blue Hour and being in that perfect uninterrupted moment. Tinnitus is similar with the lyrics no stars for rockstar, just a rock, okay? The entire album in general is realizing that you're not some big thing, nor were you born to be something great. I've noticed this in a lot of adults around me as well. There really is a time where people give up on their childhood dreams and accept that they'll never be that superstar they thought they'd be. This brings us to the last track, Farewell Neverland, which surprisingly has a different meaning. It continues the same message as Blue Hour with the lyrics, "A paradise is full of lies I wanted to turn away. No matter where I go, this place is no home." It's at this point in TXT's story that they've finally come to the realization that there's no such thing as a utopia, as they've discovered how it's completely taken control of them to the point where they can't and don't work. No amount of changing time can take away your pain, as your lost time will come to haunt you as well. There's no labor without fun, no fun without labor, and this is the cruel paradox of life.